Here's our very last video. It's going to be a quick one. This is the last video for the Neurographic Art project where we're just finishing it up. And here's a finished example that has been embellished. So first it was painted with solid colors and gradations of color. And then after it's totally dry, make sure your project is completely painted how you want it and is dry. Once you're done with painting and it's dried, then you can start using dry watercolor pencils and the Sharpie again to create all these embellishments. So embellishments is basically just adding more pattern and texture and visual interest to a project that's already finished. So it kind of even finishes it even better. It's like adding adornment. So you can see I did not use these on every single section. I think it's too much to do embellishment in every single section. So you can see about half of the sections were adorned or embellished with extra watercolor pencil or Sharpie. And I used only the skinny Sharpie, the extra fine point Sharpie for this, not the fine point fatter one. And some of these are left just painted, okay? So it's going to be better if you just choose some of your spaces to get embellished and leave some of them plain, just with the paint, okay? So choose where you want to add your embellishments, and then you can start to add stripes. And this is actually this section, and this section. Those are all, I used more neurographic lines in color using just a dry colored pencil. This was not painted. It was just the dry watercolor pencil added on top. So I used this color for here, and then I used a blue one here on top of the blue-green, and then this red-purple on top of this red-purple section. So basically it's the same color as what's underneath. I just drew dry with it and pressed hard to get it darker. Okay, so this yellow-green was painted underneath, and then I used the same yellow-green, pressing hard and keeping it dry, not adding water to it to create those darker lines. Same thing here. This is a yellow-green on top of yellow-green, and I just pressed much harder, made it very dark, and kept it dry. I did not add any water to this dry watercolor pencil line, okay? And then, again, you can use the Sharpie to create some sections with some black lines. I've got spirals. I've got these they look like almost tape lines going across, pebbles. This one's just random circles and lines connecting. It's not really a pattern. I just made it random. These little paisley plume type things. And then a couple of like starburst looking things right here. One in pencil, one in pen. Okay. All right. Once you're done with embellishments and you're happy with your project and it's totally done, you have to remove the tape. Here's how you remove the tape, hopefully without tearing your paper. You're going to take the piece of tape that looks like it's on top. This piece looks like it was put on last. So whichever piece was put on last is laying on top of all the others. That's the piece that you're taking off first. You're going to pull it off at a 45-degree angle. So you're going to pull it off like this, and you have to pull it slowly. It's starting to tear a little bit of the watercolor paper off, even though I put it on my clothes first. Even though this is covered in lint, it is tearing the paper a little bit, but it's hardly noticeable. Like you can't even really see it. So pull slowly. If you pull fast, it's going to tear the white paper much, much worse than this. But if you pull slow, it's only going to take just the top layer of the white paper off, and it's not really noticeable. Okay. All right. So there's that first piece of tape. And then do the next side. Again, turn the paper so that you can pull it towards you at a 90-degree angle. I think I said 45. At a 90-degree angle. Okay, like that. For some reason, this side is not ripping the white paper. Oh, a little tear right there. That's okay. If it tears a tiny bit like that, it's no big deal. Can't even really notice it. Okay, next side. So you might see some little spots that bled underneath the tape like this, and that's fine. That's not a big deal. Hopefully you don't have big spots that bled underneath the tape, but little spots are fine. So I'm going slowly on purpose. I'm doing this slowly because if you peel too fast, it will rip the paper much worse. We want as little of this white border to be torn as possible. All right, last section. This one might tear because when I put this on, this is the one side where I forgot to put it on my clothes first before putting it down. So you can see there's some white paper tearing off because this side is stickier than the other three sides. All right, done. Now when I lift up my paper, you guys should already have your name and period on the back. I don't because this is just my example. So you should have your first name, last name, and period on the back of your paper. First name, last name, and then which period you're in. It should already be on the back of your paper from when you first started the project, okay? If it's not, make sure you put it on right now. First name, last name, and whichever period you're in. That way you can get a grade for it. If your name is not on it and you hand it in for a grade, I'm not going to be able to grade it, okay? All right, so there's the finished example.